Hey, I'm Luca Pizzoleo, and this is Anatomy of the Arts.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of An Anatomy of the Arts. I haven't been doing this for a while, as I was just explaining to my guest, but it is a familiar face. It's a good friend of mine, director of multiple viral short films, Mr. Luca Pizzoleo. Oh my God, I've messed it up.
Oh, you're good, dude. Pizzoleo. You got, dude. It's a tricky name. It's a tricky name. I can't blame you for that.
Oh wow. Anyways, Luca, how are you?
I'm good, dude. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm great. It's been a while. I mean, it's been a year, but I mean, we've had this in the pipeline since the start of the year.
It's been a minute, dude. I keep canceling on you. I was traveling, and then I got sick, and my voice is still a little messed up, but I'm good. I'm good to go now.
Yeah, you sound great. Sound
Thank
perfect.
you, bro.
I'm repping the merch as well. I just showed Luca, but
I love that.
Is it in the screen? Yeah.
I missed the memo. I'm repping that Desert Trip merch from Big Vic.
There we go. Anyways, let's get straight into it. You're a very busy man. I mean, in 2 months, your short film has hit 1.7 million views. Well, it was when I was writing the quote. It's probably higher now. And I mean, you've been to countless festivals, won multiple awards. How has it been for you in the last couple of months? What are your ambitions now for the remainder of the year? Because you've absolutely smashed it in the first 4 months.
Yeah, dude, it was a crazy first 4 months. I mean, I feel like, well, one, I've never had a short film be as successful as this, just off of like even the marketing approach to O.C.D. The beginning of or end of December, early January, when I first started marketing the film. I mean, we garnered like 20 million views, and then the film obviously like blew up on YouTube. It's at like 1.8 now. And dude, it's awesome. I mean, it doesn't really change much for me. It's not like, I wake up different and I'm like, wow, like I'm a YouTube millionaire, but I definitely feel like what's a word? I wouldn't say vindicated, but it's almost like there were people before the movie came out, before we even did the movie. There were people that were working closely that didn't like the concept and thought it wasn't going to be relatable, or thought it wasn't going to do well with a wide audience. Right. And obviously that's just not true given the response. So I think like in a lot of ways it's very cool that as many people have connected with it as they have. But in terms of the remainder of the year, I'm working with Connor. We've written an O.C.D. feature. We're also working on another feature. So it's just, I'm really focusing on writing, and, hopefully early next year, I want to get into production on something.
Yeah.
I don't think I don't really want to do the shorts anymore. I don't think I have it in me. I think the amount of effort that I put into a short is honestly like the amount of effort that I would rather just apply that to a feature. So I think I'd rather just work on like scripts and writing and getting something together. And then hopefully, if we can get something shot early next year, I think that would be the goal.
I mean, does it feel, you said you don't feel different, but do you at least feel a bit lighter now that all of that pressure of, is this going to work, is kind of off your back? Because it clearly has.
I mean, yeah, in some way, for sure. I think like, I don't want to sound like I was like, oh, dude, I knew this was going to blow up, but I did have a good feeling that like people would connect with it, especially before the movie went to the festivals. I had a good feeling that it would do well festival wise. And obviously that those feelings were validated when it happened. But I think it feels good releasing it, like just not having to like hold on to it anymore. Like it feels great. And to be honest with you, I don't really measure success on like, oh, dude, if this doesn't hit like 50,000 views, it was a waste of time. I'm sort of just like, if it's out there and people can see it, to me, that's a success. The fact that we made the movie is a success alone. I don't think the views really equate for me as being like, that's the success of it, even though it is definitely great. But the weight is more so just like people can watch it now, and I don't have to like tiptoe around like, oh, I didn't want to reveal the robbers too early, or like anything like that. But yeah, no, it feels great.
And now that You know, I mean, you said it in the last one before it even released when we last spoke, that you didn't want to do short films anymore, and this was kind of your last, your kind of goodbye letter to that kind of sphere. Do you know where it's going to take you? I mean, if God forbid this feature doesn't work out, do you have any idea what you'd do this time next year when you want to get back into something? Do you have your eyes on anything?
The feature has to work. I mean, like, it just has to, right? Like, I think the type of individual I am is like with O.C.D, for instance. I'll give you an example. Like when we first started doing it, I took it to a couple producers, like independent producers who were in like film school, like USC, UCLA. And because I personally, I didn't want to produce the film myself. I was just kind of like, I want to just focus on the directing. I ended up producing it, obviously. But the people that I met, they were very nice, but a lot of them were like, this is going to cost you, $70,000, $50,000. It's not doable. It's not achievable. You're not going to be able to get a larger named actor to be a part of it. It's just not going to happen. And I was like, yeah, it is. Like, I know, I know how to figure things out. It was the same with Valley, right? Like, we did Valley. How many people told me, oh, dude, making a 70s movie is not easy? And it's not, but I figured it out, And so with the feature, I think the approach that we're kind of taking is, we have an O.C.D feature. We also have another feature we're working on. And if one of those can get some attention industry wise, and we can get, some funding and things together, that's amazing. If we can't, I've kind of spoken to Connor and a couple other people of just like, dude, like, why don't we just make it like ourselves? Like, can we not figure that out? At the end of the day, with Valley is a 30-minute movie. That's half a feature right there, and we made Valley for like $7,000. Frenchman is a 25 minute. We made that for $3,000. So I'm like, realistically, if we can just pool together a little bit of money, I think we can make something work, and we can make a feature on our own if we can't get the attention from like the industry side of things. So, I mean, if it doesn't work the traditional route, I'll go the untraditional route to make it work.
And when you say you want to get industry recognition, for anyone that's not in that kind of sphere, how do you go about that? Is it just releasing a script and let the vultures dance on it, or what is it that, how does that process kind of look like?
Yeah, it's dude, I don't know. it's a weird process. I mean, like, the thing is obviously Connor and I both have talent reps, and they're in the industry, obviously, and they can send it to people, and we can also send it to people that we've sort of met over the years and whatnot. But it is kind of like a tricky process, because it's really just about like who and like, can this person introduce you to this person, and then can that person link you with this person who's a producer, or like a financier, or whatever it may be. So there's not really like a clear-cut answer on like how to go about things. I really just think it's like networking and just meeting people, and then the more people you meet, then hopefully you can meet someone who's got like some money to give you.
Yeah, I mean, and okay, I'm going to move straight into the film now, because I don't want to beat around the bush too much.
Yeah, go for it.
You mentioned Connor Patrick Walsh, your writer.
The GOAT, dude.
Yeah. He'd come to you with this concept. I think you were having beers or something. He had invited you for a pint. And,
we had met, and he told me about a concept he had about what if your intrusive thoughts became a reality.
And my question to you is, in the film, we see a wide range of these intrusive thoughts. I mean, there's a gas leak, you see cancel culture, a robbery, a meteor, like just death. How did you guys choose these? I know in every short film you've done, there's been some element of gore. I mean, Tragic Death of a Frenchman was gory.
Graphic,
and then was that the one where Ryan and Raz were disconfiguring the body to put in the boot?
Yeah, they were cracking his legs. Yeah. It's too stiff. They had to make him fit.
And I mean, how did you? Was this something that Connor kind of already had kind of planned? Or, I mean, you speak openly about your O.C.D, and but that's kind of something that you both bonded over.
Mm.
But with those kind of gaslit cancel culture,
Yeah.
how did they come into the script?
It was kind of just like a back and forth between me and Connor. I think, through our own OCD, we've sort of like meshed things together. And so like something I've mentioned before is that Connor, when he was younger, he had a string, like a string of doom that he could never get rid of. And if he got rid of it, he felt like things, bad things were going to happen. And so that's like a piece of Connor. And then like the brain cancer line is like, I constantly think I'm sick, like with every disease in the book. And so that was kind of like another thing where it's like, okay, we can put that in, or the cancel culture. And that, I think Connor came up with that kind of whole bit, which I think is just like so hilarious. Yeah, like I said, it was just kind of really like combining both of our OCD to like one super OCD, and be like, oh, well, like I worry about like the gas leak when I like leave the house, or like, I worry about like if I don't do this and like the world's gonna end and blah blah blah. So it's kind of like this dude has like really really bad.
Fucked up.
This dude's really like he's cooked. Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, I like the little voices you're doing there. Actually, yeah, that was
yeah.
Okay, so you've spoken about that, and I mean, Connor is an exceptional writer. How did you have any impact on the script at all? I mean, I'm presuming you went over it and edited and spoke about bits, but how much of it was him and how much of it was you?
I mean, I think, the script is written by Connor and then story by Connor and me. And so obviously I give Connor the most credit when it comes to the script. When it comes to like the words on the page and the dialogue spoken, I mean, that is mainly Connor. Yeah. Obviously, kind of like our process, the way it worked was we had met, and he does like these cue cards where he'll go, okay, like this is act 1, act 2, act 3, sequence A, B, C. And we sort of brainstorm back and forth. Okay, this is going to happen here. And like, why is this linking? We sort of like interweaved everything from the beginning. And then Connor's like, okay, once we have that, then I'm going to go and write it. And so we worked on story beats. So it wasn't like I wasn't aware of the story beats as they were going along. Like the robbers, I was like, oh yeah, the robbers can come in. And then he's like, okay, cool. Like, let me interweave it with this and blah, blah, blah. And then he goes off and writes it. And then when he gave it to me, then we had met about like 1 or 2 more times, and we sat down, and I was like, okay, I want to tweak this. I want to tweak this. I think this should be changed. That should be changed. But I think the great thing about Connor and I is there really is no ego when we work, which is something I really appreciate about our relationship, because it's just like, if I have an idea and I want to implement it into the script, then Connor's not going to be like, oh, well, I like my idea more, Right. But if he's like, oh, well, maybe that doesn't work because of this. And I'm like, okay, yeah, like I see what you're saying. And so it's like, it's a very like collaborative relationship. So in terms of the script, we collaborated on every beat, but in terms of like the pages and like the words written, 90% of that is like Connor. Obviously there's a couple lines here and there that, I was like, oh, he could say this here, or he could say that there. But the majority of like the structure is Connor for sure.
And how does that relationship kind of transfer when you are on set? I mean, obviously you spoke to me last time about when I think it was Ryan. I think Ryan, was it Raz or what? Ryan and you were on set of Babylon, and you could see Damien Chazelle talking to Margot Robbie, and there's always this director actor relationship where they tell them how to express this, or give suggestions on a performance. How then did you transfer the speech element into the play? Because I mean, not because, but was there any major amendments that you were making on set? Or
it was like with so Raz and Ryan were on set of Babylon. Like I tried to get on, they declined me. I signed up for it, and I was like, God, dude. I was like, that'd be so cool, man. And but like my hair was like this long, like back then.
Oh, really?
And so I was like, I don't look like I belong in the 1920s unless I was like some crazy like bridge, under the bridge, like
I thought you said
monster.
Brit, then. I was like,
No, 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 no.
no.
I was like some like animal in the woods, you know, like maybe, but yeah, no, I didn't get it, unfortunately. But in terms of like the onset relationship with Connor and I, like I said, it's just very similar, just no ego. If I did make amendments to the script on the day, and so like there was a few where I was like, okay, you know, I don't think that this works when, you know, Steven is saying it because
Right.
obviously when you write something and then when you speak something, it translates very differently. So sometimes, you know, the words on a page might not translate perfectly when you're acting them out. And so, and that's also why rehearsals are great, because if you can rehearse, then you can kind of like iron those out before you get on set. But yeah, there was things that I would tell Steven that he would say, and I'm like, you know, actually, can we switch that word with this word? And you know, Connor doesn't have any issue with that. I'm not really making like major like structural changes. It's more so just like if this word doesn't work or that word doesn't work, or you know, maybe he shouldn't say this, and I like the silence here. But I think the best example was when we did the crawling scene. We had shot the crawling scene before Steven got on set. And so it was Roz like crawling through the store, and I went home that day and I was editing it because I was like, this is the pivotal moment in the film. This is like the culmination of everything. And I wanted to see how it looked, and I was like, man, it looks really fucking bad. And it was like driving me crazy, and I didn't know how to fix it because Roz, and it's no fault to Roz, but Roz's like crawl was like kind of slow, and I was like, it's not like exciting, it's not intense. And so like I did a lot of like editing tweaks to make like his crawl, like I sped it up, I did like speed ramps, I like did some like jump cuts while he was crawling, but I was like, it still doesn't feel right. And so when we went on set the next day and Steven was there, I was like, I didn't know what I was going to do. And then I just kind of got this idea, and I was like, hey, Steven, actually, could we get a scene of you yelling at Roz? And this isn't in the script at all, but I was like, I kind of need it to cut back and forth, so that way we don't have like, because if I'm just sticking on Roz, it's just this long, you know, crawl. And he was like, okay, yeah, and none of it was scripted. And I was like, can you just improv something, you know, just like almost like a drill sergeant, like, you know, get moving soldier, you know, whatever, you can cuss it, I'm call him a baby, whatever you want. And Steven obviously was awesome at that. I mean, it's probably like one of my favorite scenes in the movie, but again, that was fully improv, and Connor had no issue with it. So it's just, I think we both want what's best for the story. And when you have two people that are, you know, the story comes first, I don't think anyone feels any type of way if something does inadvertently help the story progress.
And Steven, obviously huge actor, but he is known for playing these kind of roles. I mean, Trevor is, you know, the most iconic one. He's basically the role that you've got, just a lot more rednecky, and and you know, so a role like this would presumably come natural to him. Was there a lot of conversing with him on how the role would be acted out, or did he kind of just pick it up like that and just kind of move along with it swiftly?
Yeah, there definitely was a lot of conversation. We had met, I think like 3 or 4 times before we shot the movie.
Oh, right.
And yeah, we had met up. Well, the first time we had met up was just kind of like a general, like, hey, like, you know, you're Steven, I'm Luca, nice to meet you. And that was really cool because I think like I've been a Steven Ogg fan for like the longest time. I think he's just such a phenomenal actor. And
you fanboy a little.
I think the funny thing is I don't get like a fanboyed in a way, but I think it's like with him, I was kind of like, oh, this is cool. Like I definitely was like, this is cool that like I'm directing this guy and this guy's in my movie. Like I thought that was really fucking awesome because again, just being a fan of someone for so long and then getting them to come work with you and create something together is just such a cool experience. But he's just like the nicest guy, like really the nicest guy. I mean, like we had like talked on the phone and then we had met, and the first time we met, we just kind of talked about like life and like family and, you know, and then he was like, okay, cool. Like I want to do your movie. It wasn't really like, we didn't really even talk about the movie.
Right.
And then I was like, okay, well, I would like to meet again and discuss like character and whatnot. and we had met a couple other times after that. And with the character, I don't want to give too much away because a lot of it kind of bleeds into what the feature is going to like follow. But I sort of gave Steven very you know, the direction that I told him to go in was very much in line with what we're kind of looking for in the feature, for what the overarching goal of Steven's character in the feature will be. Because in the feature, he's not just this agent. There's more to his character. And same with, you know, Raz and Steven's relationship. And so we had spoke about that quite a bit. And, you know, I even told him, I was like, when it comes to like some of the lines, you know, obviously you're this like agent, you're kind of like an O.C.D cop in a way. So I kind of, the way he's described in the script, in the short is like Men in Black style. He's supposed to be wearing like glasses, like sleek suit, you know. And so I think he kind of delivered on that, where it's like, it's this like secret agent, hey, like you know, you can't fuck around. But he obviously adds that like Steven Ogg like twist of having that sort of like really commanding behavior. And so you know, it wasn't, I don't think he was doing, you know, just like a similar thing that he did in the past. I do think there's different, you know, elevated beats that he did with the performance. But yeah, definitely we had spoken about that quite a bit.
Amazing. I was actually just looking at the poster in the back and I was like, that's Raz's face. That's pretty cool.
Dude. And Steven's face is in the middle of it.
Yeah, it's hand drawn, isn't it? It's hand drawn. It is.
You know what fucking pissed me off? I just want to have like a bone to pick with TikTok. I posted the poster multiple times on TikTok, and TikTok kept saying, like, it wouldn't let me change it. It kept saying that it was AI generated, which is like mind blowing, because first of all, this poster was done before AI was like as good as it is now. And it's done by like just such an incredible artist. And I don't know where he lives, somewhere in Europe, I assume.
Really?
His name is Alexander, and I will learn how to pronounce his last name one time. Today is not that time, but he's incredible. Like if you go to my following, or you go to the poster and you go to the tag, like his work is just unreal, all hand drawn, unbelievable. And he did like insane. Yeah, he did like 4 or 5 different versions. We had kind of jumped back and forth, and then I settled on this one, and it was he's just awesome artist.
It is. And the reason I was talking about Raz is, or Raz. I keep saying I keep saying Raz. It's Raz.
There you go.
Is you said to me last time that Raz had actually auditioned for it, and it wasn't like, you're my mate, come be in my movie.
Yeah.
Was Raz the only one that auditioned, or was there other actors that had picked the script up and came for it?
We held like a full like casting process. So I think like a question I get a lot is like, where do you find like casting calls for like my movies if I'm posting them?
Right.
It's all on Actors Access. And so we held an open casting. We even held an open casting for the agent as well, because I wasn't 100% sure I was going to be able to get someone like Steven.
Right.
And so we did have like a lot of like just kind of random, like, you know, lesser known actors auditioning for that role. And same with Raz's part as well. We had even some of the people in O.C.D, like Landon auditioned for Raz's role as well. And Landon's tape is like phenomenal. It's fantastic. And I think the deciding factor for me was there was a little bit more of a connection with Raz's understanding of O.C.D, because he obviously has O.C.D and, you know, has been like clinically diagnosed, and like, so he kind of like understands the source material to a level that I think when it came to like directing and like him understanding the compulsions, I felt like he had an edge. Not to say that the other actors wouldn't have done a phenomenal job. I think they 100% would have. I just think that was kind of my decision when casting Raz. But yeah, no, we had like plenty of people audition for Owen and Anna and everybody. And like Ariel, like I had reached out to her because she was following me on TikTok, And I reached out to her and I was like, hey, do you want to submit an audition? And she sent me an audition. So I mean, really everyone auditioned outside of Steven. Steven was the only one who I'm like, I don't need that. I'm not gonna, I didn't want to like piss him off. Yeah. And also like he's someone like who I'm like, I know like this fits in his wheelhouse. Like he can definitely do it. And we kind of wrote it in a way with him in mind in certain aspects. So like it wasn't anything where I was like, I thought about it. I thought about like, oh, maybe I should ask him, but I was like, I don't want to piss him off. And, like, I don't want to get him to be like, dude, fuck off, you know, like.
Who do you think you are? But that's interesting about Raz. I didn't know that he had that connection with O.C.D. And actually, one of the many small nuances and details that's in your film is that Steven sticks with Raz's character. I mean, the agent sticks with Owen on the screen, and that's really kind of the biggest part of O.C.D. Is it's not like it can just be there one day and the next day it's not there. It's something that sticks with you. And I don't know, I think that was a really neat detail, and it's very, very subtle. Was that an intentional choice to kind of have the agent and Owen in frame or in the same frame together constantly?
Yeah, definitely. I think when it came to the way that I wanted to shoot the film, I obviously wanted Steven to sort of like constantly be imposing on Raz, you know, whether Raz like turns and then he's like right behind his shoulder. You know, we always use the analogy of like that little like devil on your shoulder type thing. And so I constantly wanted Steven to like be there, even if it felt like he left for a moment. And kind of to your point, like O.C.D. isn't really something that goes away. It's something you just deal with. However, O.C.D. does sometimes go in the background every now and then. And that's why like in the ending, when Raz leaves the store, he doesn't notice Steven, and he's sort of behind him and waiting there. And like Raz gave into the compulsion. So it kind of bleeds. It kind of gives into the fact that, you know, like O.C.D. doesn't go away, but you can sort of like manage it. And sometimes it silences for a moment and you don't, you know, it's not like every day, every hour of the day, it's just static in your head. And it's like, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. But it's like, it definitely like bleeds into your life here and there. And sometimes you don't notice it. And sometimes it's just like blaring and obvious, but yeah, definitely a very intentional choice. And I think the way we shot the movie, we shot a lot of Raz's scenes without Steven. So like any scene where Raz is talking to Steven and they're not in the same frame, we shot Raz the day before because I had wanted to maximize like Steven's time and make sure like Steven wasn't on set like super, super late because we had to do like full night shoots for the thing. But yeah, no, definitely a detail that was intentional.
Close to the beginning, he used a dolly zoom or a Hitchcock zoom or vertigo effect. I mean, it's when Owen looks at the ice cream.
Yeah,
you pan in on his face, and you move it. The background basically moves away for everyone that's not aware of what that is. Can you walk me through how you made it? And when did that idea come to you?
That idea that came to us in the shot list. So you know, when we had the shot list, we sort of figured we're like, yeah, we need that. We want that vertigo shot because it's that kind of like uneasy feeling. And I feel like it perfectly like exemplifies like seeing something kind of horrific. You know, they use it like so well in Jaws when I forget the actor's name, Roy Schreider, I think, you know, sees the shark attack and it's that zoom in. So we kind of wanted that same effect. It's seeing the shark. It's the ice cream. And we pulled it off. We initially wanted to do it on a Dana dolly, which is like a big kind of like dolly. But really we didn't have enough time. And so the thing that's funny is like for anyone who knows like cameras and like camera gear, we basically shot the whole movie on a Ronin, which is like it's like a pole that has a gimbal attached to the top of it. And typically you'll see like short films or like, you know, YouTube content that's shot on a Ronin, and you can kind of tell like, because they're really smooth, but they kind of have this like not jitter to them, but you can almost tell that it's not fully smooth. And so I I didn't want to shoot on a Ronin, but I ended up, me and Jeremy kind of decided, it's like we just didn't have enough time in the market. We didn't have a big enough crew that it was just kind of like, let's just shoot everything on the Ronin. And so like when it came to that vertigo effect, we were using prime lenses, which prime lenses mean there's no zoom option attached to them. And so I told Jeremy, I was like, well, what we could do is we could do a digital vertigo effect where essentially if you push in slow enough and you keep it steady enough in like the editing software, I can take the shot at the beginning and I can start zoomed in. And then by the time you reach Raz, the digital zoom will zoom out. So it'll give you the same effect.
Yeah.
And so I kind of knew I could do that digitally. Obviously, it looks better if you could do it practically because then things start warping behind as you're like changing focal lengths. But we just didn't have that option with the zoom lens because all of our lenses were from Suray. They were like a sponsorship, and we wanted to use prime and anamorphic lenses, so we weren't able to do that. But yeah, it was a digital vertigo effect.
Oh shit! How does editing work for you? I mean, do you like it? Is it a love-hate relationship?
That's it. That's a perfect way to describe it. It's like I hate it sometimes and like I love it other times. I think O.C.D was the first movie that I had edited where I was like, I'm enjoying the process of editing this. Yeah. Whereas like, other movies, like I remember when I did Gold, which was like I did that a long time ago. I had made Gold in like 2019 and it was a movie I did with Raz. And I remember there was like a moment where I was just like, you know what, fuck this. And I just like didn't edit it. And I remember like months went by and Raz was like, where's the movie? And I was like, I'm working on it. I wasn't working on it. I just like, I don't like love editing, but I think like with O.C.D, I was so locked in because after we had finished it, after we finished shooting, I immediately started editing. I pretty much had an edit of the whole movie within like 2 weeks. And so then it was
really,
then it oh dude, I worked day and night. It was disgusting.
Damn.
No sleep, like just constantly like sitting like in front of the computer. Like it was fucking a nightmare. But the reason why I wanted to do that was because we had Ando, who is our sound designer, and he is obviously like, I think I've explained it before. He's like fucking works on like massive shit like Spider-Man and Lion King and whatever. And so he didn't have like a lot of time to edit the sound for O.C.D. And so he was like, if you can get it to me like as soon as possible. So I was like, okay, easy. Like, I'm just going to not sleep. I edited the movie in 2 weeks, got it over to him, got it to Alexander, got it to Ben, our colorist. And yeah, I mean, that was essentially how we did it. We pretty much had like a cut of the movie from final shoot day. We had like a cut of the movie with sound, with music, like in a month. It was kind of ridiculous how fast that process was.
Damn. I mean, when I've only edited a couple videos, but I actually think, you hate it when you're doing it, but when you see kind of how it comes together at the end, or all the effort, the fucking hours that you spent on just one little bit where you're trying to get the text to line up with the fucking music, and it's fucking ball ache. But when it all comes together, it's beautiful. And
it's all worth it.
It is. How long does it usually take you to edit? I know you said obviously Gold took you a while, but that seemed to be just out of pure spite.
Yeah, I was pissed off. I was like, fuck this movie. I did, man. Like it really depends. Like, look, O.C.D was a 12-minute movie. It took me about 2 weeks to get it cut together. I think it's all dependent. Like, I don't know if you saw the short I did called Flashback. That was like basically we had entered into a 48-hour film festival competition. I'll send it to you after. Basically, we had a prompt where it was like you have to make kind of like a sci-fi movie, and we had shot that movie. We wrote it because we got the prompt at the beginning of the 48 hours, and then we had to write a movie based around this prompt. So we wrote it, shot it, edited it, and then completed it within 48 hours. And I think we finished it like in like 35 hours, which is really fucking like gross. But I mean, like, it just depends. Like, it depends on the project, depends if there's like a deadline. I typically like to get it out of the way now. So I think like I'm not as big of a procrastinator as I used to be when I was younger. So like, yeah, with Valley, I think it took me like a month to do Valley, which was like 30 minutes. Frenchman about the same, but also Frenchman took a long time because when we shot Frenchman, we shot it so spread apart. It was pretty much like we shot in like October or like January, and then we shot the Fargo scene in like November, and then we didn't even, and then we finished the movie, and we were like, well, I'm not really happy with the ending. And so then we came up with the idea. My uncle actually came up with the idea about Olivier waking up on the beach. He was like, wouldn't that be funny if he like woke up on the beach? And I was like, fuck, that's so good. And so I went back and we shot that after like 5 months of finishing Frenchman, and so like that whole like ending sequence was added in like after the fact. So it just depends.
Right. And I mean, the big question is, did you win the 48-hour short film contest? No.
We didn't get anything. We got nothing.
Next question.
Next question. Yeah. Edit that part out.
Yeah. Give me more work to do.
Yeah. No, you're good.
There's a lot of the time when Owen, Raz, again, for everyone that's not listening, I haven't explained it to you this far, and it's been about an hour. Raz plays a character called Owen. Steven Ogg plays a character called the Agent. But a lot of the time when Owen is going through his compulsions, you combine oh my god, I can't speak. You combine music with his very visceral reactions and emotion. Did that help you to convey how important and big these moments were for you or for him?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, music and film just it's like bread and butter. Like you kind of need it. And I think there is such a thing as like too much music as well. Yeah. Like I remember when we were doing O.C.D, with Alexander Artenson, our like unbelievably talented composer. When we were working on the score of O.C.D, he did a first pass, and the first pass was like, it was fantastic, but the tone was much more like drama in line. It was more like thrillery, and I kind of wanted that like hint of comedy in a way. And so he kind of reworked the score, and we got it to where we wanted it. And I'm very specific of like where I want music. I'm like, I want music here, I don't want music here, and like I want the scene to breathe here, and I want to be like kind of like left alone, in the audience to be like left alone in this like space. So like with O.C.D, it's the movie that I've had the most music in, but like even with the robbers, I was like, okay, the score goes out there. Like I was like, I just want the robber scene to like breathe without any, orchestral soundtrack. And same with like Valley. At the end of Valley, when Raz is pointing the gun at Ryan, like I was like, score out. Like I was like, we can just breathe in that moment. So I think it's important to know when to have it and when not to have it. And I think with O.C.D specifically with the compulsions, it was really important to give the audience an auditory cue that something in his mind is like not right. So when you're at the close-up of like Raz's eyes, and it's like going through the aisles, and it's like the violins are like squeaking and making that really uncomfortable sound, it was very intentional of making that like kind of uncomfortable and scary, and in a sense kind of like a horror.
Right. And I personally love the sound in this film, and one thing that I really like is how you use frantic speech and kind of these whispers that occur when Raz is going through these compulsions. How did that idea kind of originate? Because it's phenomenal.
Thank you. Yeah, I will take no credit for that, because that's all Ando. Like we didn't even. Yeah, we didn't have. There was only one moment in the script where Connor and I were like, what was that?
I was like, who's talking in my fucking house? I don't know what just happened. Text to speech came up on my phone.
I was like, who's talking to me?
I thought you were talking to me.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
I'll jump back a bit. Basically, Ando was the one who came up with that idea. We did have a moment in the script where when you see the string, it mentions that there's like these sort of like almost like demon-like whispers coming, like emanating from the string, and that was kind of it. But when it came to like the ice cream and all the other compulsions, Ando decided to layer that into those moments as well, which I think is fantastic. And he just recorded it himself. He's like, the ice cream. He was just doing that, and like would layer it like 10 or 15 times, like, you got to go get it, or like whatever. And and he essentially did that. And a lot of the little like nuances in the sound design was pretty much a surprise to me. And when I went to go view it with Anda, I was like, holy shit, dude. Like, I didn't know you were doing like this much fucking work.
Yeah.
But he's obviously like a super professional.
Yeah. Damn. And because of how complex OCD is, and it's so multifaceted, did you feel limited on how you could portray that without confusing or kind of losing the audience on where you were going with the script?
That's a great question, because I think that was kind of like our initial fear when we made the movie, or when we decided to tackle it, because I don't think a lot of people really understand what OCD is. I think when you say OCD, people go, "Oh, I have OCD. Like, I like cleaning, or like I like to keep my house neat and tidy." And like, it's just like, that's just not it. And so there was kind of like this push and pull of how do we showcase it, not only visually, but without giving too much verbal exposition of like, this is how OCD works. And I think we pulled it together pretty well, of like, because there's been like a ton of comments of people being like, holy shit, I didn't know this is what OCD was like. Or like, some people are like, do I have fucking OCD? Like, this is how I feel. But yeah, we wanted to make sure not only and also, like you said, it is very multifaceted. So it's not always just about like wanting things in the rightful place. Some people don't even have physical compulsions. They have like kind of like mental compulsions, where it's like in their heads, like saying a phrase like over and over and over again. And so that sort of side of OCD is a little trickier to showcase. And I think that's kind of why we went with like, okay, the ice cream is a really good in, because people understand like, oh, like the ice cream's misplaced, so that's like OCD. But then we showcase it's like, oh, his mom dies and the world ends and blah blah blah, and it's because he didn't give into that compulsion. So I think like that was the easiest way in to make the audience understand how it works. And yeah, that's kind of why we went in that direction. And also because like ice cream is like, it's fucking hilarious. Like, Rocky Road in the vanilla section is ridiculous.
Yeah. Okay, my last question for you, and I hope you're prepared for this one. Luca Pizzoleo, what are your top 4 films of all time?
Top 4 films. Good question. It okay, let's see. It changes a little bit, but I'll go Singing in the Rain, which Singing in the Rain is like one of my all-time favorites. I think it's a perfect movie. And it's also a movie that I feel like if it's on TV and it's like in the middle of it, like I'll just jump in. And I love just watching that movie. Like I can watch it a fucking 1,000 times. Next would be, I'd say, Barry Lyndon. It's my favorite Kubrick movie. I think it's, I don't know if you've seen it. I assume you haven't, based on the like the way you looked up. But Barry Lyndon is incredible. I think it's Kubrick's finest film, and I'm a big Kubrick fan, but it's also just like, it's a precursor to Martin Scorsese style of filmmaking, where it was kind of about like the rise and the fall. So like with like Wolf of Wall Street, like Goodfellas, it's always about like, okay, they start at the bottom and then they get to the top and then they crash down, they crash and burn. It's like Barry Lyndon is like that precursor to that sort of genre and style of filmmaking. And then I'm gonna go Paper Moon, Peter Bogdanovich. That's a fucking awesome movie. I don't think you've seen that either. Paper Moon is also with Brian O'Neill from Barry Lyndon, who's the lead in Barry Lyndon. You should watch Paper Moon. Paper Moon's fucking great. It's a comedy. It's about like a dad and a daughter in like the 1920s, and it's really funny. And it's like they're basically like kind of like little scam artists, and they're like trying to like steal their way across like the US. And it's just it's such an awesome movie. And the cool thing is Ryan O'Neal is a phenomenal actor, but his daughter is also in the film, and she plays the daughter in the movie. And so there's this like chemistry that you can really only get with the dad and daughter. And the last one I'm gonna go Scarecrow. Scarecrow, you haven't seen it. Scarecrow is the great Gene Hackman and Al Pacino. And it's funny because you would think it's a more popular movie considering it's like fucking Gene Hackman and Al Pacino, but it really is like just such an unknown film. And I don't really know anyone who's like seen Scarecrow. And I don't mean to be that guy who's like, my movie is this movie that like you've never heard of. And to be fair, like Scarecrow is not really like, it's not this like crazy art house like French movie that no one's ever heard of. It's just sort of like it's a 70s movie that honestly didn't get as much love as I feel like it deserved. But it's very reminiscent of like Midnight Cowboy. I don't know if you've seen Midnight Cowboy. That's another fucking amazing movie. Dude, you gotta watch fucking these movies, man. Like these are fucking great. Midnight Cowboy with John Voight and Dustin Hoffman. That's an incredible movie, and it's kind of like two buddies. Like you've seen the scene where he walks across the street and he's like, "Hey, I'm walking here. I'm walking here." That's
right.
what that comes from.
I thought
Cowboy.
I'd heard it. I thought I heard Midnight Cowboy, and I thought I heard of Barry Lyndon. That's why I looked up. I was like, But then I think I thought of Bill Durham, which has Kevin Costner in it. Yeah, different film.
But Midnight Cowboy is it's kind of like two unlikely friends, like these two guys. It's like one guy who is Joe Buck, who moves from like the South to New York, and he's like a cowboy in New York City, and then he meets Dustin Hoffman, and they kind of become this unlikely pair. And it's very similar in Scarecrow. Scarecrow is basically about like two people who are like hitchhiking their way across like the US, and they're both trying to, in the beginning of the movie, they're both trying to get a car, and they're on like separate sides of the road, and they're kind of competing, and then they kind of become like buddies. And so it's just it's a fucking awesome movie. And if I had to throw a fifth one in, I would just say I would say Inglourious Bastards. I think that's I think that's a fucking awesome movie. Amazing. And I'm gonna also throw The Discreet Charm of the Bourgeoisie. Have you seen it?
No, anymore.
That's a good one. That's a good one, Luis Buñuel, bro.
Okay, well, there you have it. Luca Pizzoleo, thank you so much. And you've given me a lot of films to watch.
It's your homework, dude. When we do this again, I'm expecting you to watch all of them.
Okay, so that would be it's like one of those flashbacks where we are throwing like the cloud popping above my head, and it's just thank you so much for your time today. There was a brief intermission, and me and Lucas spoke all about spinach and tuna wraps, or spinach wraps with tuna in the middle that he had burned.
I burned it.
Yeah, he burned it, and in his own words, it tastes like burn. So
I did say that. I took a lunch break in the middle of this, but it did taste like burn, but also tastes like tuna at the same time.
Crazy. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure talking to you, Luca. I mean, you're one of the greatest film directors of all time.
Oh, relax. No, come on, bro. Relax. Thank you, but
just
I appreciate it, man. No, the glaze is crazy.
No, this is so true. You're amazing and everything. Just like I'm the greatest podcaster of all time, right, Luca?
Yeah, dude, the greatest party. Of course, dude.
Yeah, anyways. Just bugging out.
Thank you, dude. I appreciate it.
No, thank you. It's been amazing. And thank you all to listening. Oh my God, I can't speak. Thank you to everyone that has listened. If you haven't watched any of Luca's short films, you need to, especially O.C.D. Get him up to 2 mil. My 1,500 followers will get you there.
They'll get me there.
They'll get you there. Thank you so much to everyone, and thank you to Luca himself. And I'll catch you in the next one.